Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing a full face of makeup for you using one of my newest foundations from Sephora and one of my favorite eye palettes. So the first step to this routine is to prime and moisturize the skin. Now I'm using Glossier's brand priming moisturizer. It goes on much like a lotion and you rub it in and make sure that everything has soaked into your skin and ready to grab onto that foundation. The next step is to apply the foundation. Now I'm using Too Faced Peach Perfect Soft Matte Foundation. I'm using the color Nude. It's supposed to be a very soft matte full coverage finish. And I'm applying that with my Wet Beauty Blender in upwards and outwards strokes. I'm applying that all over my face, including my eyes, my neck, and my forehead to make sure I have an even, seamless finish. This makeup tutorial is going to show you more of a warm finish. We're going to do a very smoky, warm eye look. And so that's why I'm using a warmer toned foundation because I do have a very natural toned skin complexion. Now, once that you've applied that all over, you want to make sure that you're buffing it out with your beauty blender to get a nice seamless veil over your full face. Now, I would say this foundation is more of a natural finish. This is my first time trying it, and you can still see my freckles coming through and a little bit of my discoloration on my cheeks. However, it does bring my skin tone to have a nice, healthy glow to it. The second step is to use the Glossier Stretch Concealer. I'm using color G11, and this concealer I'm applying it under my eyes, on my forehead, on my nose, and then on my little redness and discoloration spots around my face. Now this concealer is a dewy finish, and it's supposed to stretch very nicely over a matte foundation and give you kind of like an internal glow. Once I've applied that, I buff it out with my beauty blender. The next step is contouring. I use Milk Makeup's contouring stick in the color Baked. And what I'm doing here is I'm just outlining where I want my shadows on my face, and then we're going to blend it out with our beauty blender. Now this just adds a little bit of depth to the makeup. It adds a little bit more color into your skin, and it gives you a very warm, glowy appearance. And as you can see, I'm buffing it out right around my cheekbones, the sides of my temples. I do it also underneath my chin and then on the sides of my nose. Once we have the face all blended out, I'm going to go back in with my Glossier G11 Stretch Concealer, and I'm going to touch up the little dark spots on my face. I'm priming my eyelids for eyeshadow that's going to come later, and then I'm also brightening up the bridge of my nose and then the little inner corners of my eyes, and I blend that out once again with my Beauty Blender. The next step after all this is nice and blended to perfection is to set and forget. So I'm using the Jeffree Star Morphe setting spray. It's a very dewy finish setting spray. It smells like strawberries, and I just wet my beauty blender a little bit with that spray. Then I'm going in with the Glossier Wowder in color G11 G12, and I'm just going to pat my beauty blender into this powder. That way I can set underneath my eyes, along my jawline, and on my forehead. Once you've set the face, it's time for eyebrows. So I go in with my NYX eyebrow pencil and I just outline my eyebrows as you can see here. I use a very dark brown color and I fan it out with the brush that's on the other side of this pencil. Now it's time to start our eye look. So I use the Anastasia eyeshadow brush here in my ColourPop palette, and I apply this universal color all over my lids. This is the lightest color in the palette, and as you can see on my skin, it gives me a little bit of depth, and I use that as a base for the rest of the eye look. Once you've blended out the first shade, I go back in with a darker nude to outline my crease and my upper lid to add a little bit of more warmth and more depth to the eye look. Now I'm also using this as a transition shade for our darker shades and our little miniature cut crease that we're doing here. And you just blend that out all over just the upper lid above your crease. Now, once that's all blended out, I'm going to go back in with a darker, more chocolatey, almost red brown shade, and I'm going to outline my crease just to add even more warmth and more depth to the upper lid. Now, this is going to be one of the darkest shades that we use here, and it adds a lot more red and warm tones to the upper lid while adding a lot of depth and pigmentation, and I just blend that out only on the crease and a little bit above it. I'm blending that into that dark nude transition shade. Now we're gonna go in with this very like burnt banana shade over our upper lid. What we're doing with that color is doing like a mini cut crease where we're lightening the lid and adding a new color to the palette. Now this is more of a yellow tone color, more orangey compared to the reds and browns that we have above our crease. Once you have that blended out, I'm going in with our first metallic shade. It's one of our brightest metallics, and I'm putting that on the outer corner and the inner corner of my eyelid. Now I'm doing that on the crease, above the crease, and below the crease. And what we're going to do is we're just going to blend that out. Once you've blended that out, we're going to go in with a flat brush back to that burnt banana shade, and we're going to fill in just the center of our eyelid to add more depth. I've said depth like a million times now, but what we're doing is we're adding saturation and more depth to the upper eyelids. Now that's going to bring out how dark and metallic the inner and outer corner of your eyes are, while also just brightening up the center to make it really, really pop in the end. And now we blend. So I'm using a Jeffree Star Morphe blending brush here, and I'm just blending in that banana shade into that darker metallic that's on our inner and outer eyelid. Once we have that all blended to perfection, we're going to go back in with that flat brush to the lightest metallic shade. Now this metallic is a very striking gold, and we're just going to layer that on top of that burnt banana. What I'm doing here is I'm wetting the brush back with my Morphe setting spray. The reason I'm doing that is because it grabs onto metallic pigments a lot better. And then I'm just slightly patting that onto my upper eyelid. And as you can see, the glitter kind of just sticks to it a lot better when you use a wet brush to apply it. Once we finish the upper lid, I'm going to go in with my Wet n Wild flat brush in the burnt banana shade, and I'm going to highlight my lower lash line. Now I'm using this burnt banana shade just to serve as a transition color and to add a light warmth to the underneath of my lash line. We're also going to use that as a blending shade with this dark chocolatey red brown that we're putting on the inner and outer corners of my lash line to implement the exact same thing we did on the upper eyelid. Once we have that all blended out, I'm going to go in with my e.l.f. black liquid eyeliner, and we're just going to do a quick wing. Now, I always do wings with all of my makeup that I do on a daily basis. It just makes me feel a little bit better. I've had a lot of practice. But as you can see, I kind of just put a line on the side of my face and then I connect it and I fill it in all over my upper lash line. Now, if you guys want a tutorial on how I do my like cat eye wings, definitely give me a comment below and let me know. I've been doing it since I was like 15, so I'm like a pro at it now. However, it took me a lot of practice at first, and I do use e.l.f. e.l.f. is definitely on the more affordable end of makeup products, but it's always been my tried and true. I've noticed that even on hot days, I used to live in North Carolina when the humidity was super bad in the summer, and I never had smudging when I teared up or had allergies. It didn't really leak very much, and so it's always kind of been my go-to for eyeliner. Now we're gonna do some bronzing. I'm going in with my Fenty Beauty India Sun Colored Bronzer and my Jeffree Star Morphe brush, and I'm just going to kind of darken up where I did the contouring previously and kind of bring it into my forehead just to add a lot more warmth and a lot more shade to my face. And I'm just blending that in. I'm also going to do it around the bridge of my nose once again. My nose has always been what I've been most self-conscious about, and so I tend to try to kind of contour it into the perfect nose. So now I'm just blending that in. Sometimes I go in with my beauty blender and just tap it out if I've put a little bit too much powder on, as you can see I'm doing there, and it also just helps it seamlessly go into the foundation and powders that I already have on my face. I also take my beauty blender just to kind of wipe on my under eyes to get all of the fallout from the eyeshadow that we previously put on. Now I'm going in with the Glossier Wowder in color G11, G12, and we're just going to finish setting the whole face. I use my setting brush from Jeffree Star Morphe, and we're just going to blend it all in. For highlighter, I use the Anastasia's Dream Glow Kit. I'm using the Champagne Gold shade and another Jeffree Star Morphe Beauty Brush, and I'm just going to kind of outline on my cheekbones, a little bit on my temples, and then I also go in there with my finger just to do my nose and my Cupid's bow right above my lips. And what that's going to do, since it is a very, very matte look, it's going to add a lot of glow to it, make it almost look not dewy, but like a blinding highlight. I love doing that over matte colors just because I feel like, especially with such a very bright, vibrant highlighter, that really makes the whole face pop when you have such a matte face and then such glittery highlighter on. And I just blend that in. I also go back in with my beauty blender and just touch it up because the Anastasia palette does have a lot of fallout. Now I go in with the NYX Powder Puff lip cream, and I'm using the color Best Buds just to add a little more pigment to my lips. I typically don't wear lipstick, but for this look I feel like it's adequate. I also add a little bit of highlighter to it. I'm using more of the yellow shade just to add a little bit of shine to the lips. And then I'm also going to follow up with my Too Faced Lip Plumper lip gloss. The last step is setting spray. I'm going to go in with my Makeup Forever Velour Matte Setting Spray, and I'm just going to apply that all over my face, as you can see here, just to hold on to all the makeup and set it for the rest of the day. And here's the finished look. I did do my hair off camera and I put on my glasses, but this is the complete. Thank you so much for watching this, and definitely give me a like and subscribe below, and let me know if there's any other makeup brands or products that you guys want me to try on my channel. Bye!